Welcome to the 3Haunted podcast, where we bring you all things horror, supernatural, folklore, mythology, and all things that go bump in the night.
Hey guys, this is your co-host Ashley Lunar Goddess, Gorilla Girl filmmaker and horror-loving cinephile. I'm just your average pun-making swearwolf that loves to explore the spookier things in life.
Hey everybody, I'm John Thomas, paranormal investigator, super smartass, and film lover extraordinaire.
What's up, ghouls, gals, and all of our supernatural storytime pals? Today we'll be talking about all kinds of spooky with our guests and fellow podcasters, two girls who scare easily.
But first, a word from our network sponsor.
Are you looking for more awesome podcasts? Head on over to withoutyourhead.com for access to the Without Your Head podcast network, where you'll find a variety of podcasts sure to keep you entertained and coming back for more. Bring us back!
Welcome back, everybody. Like Ashley said, we have fellow podcasters with us, Andy and Katie from Two Girls Who Scare Easily. Hello, and welcome.
Hello. Hi.
Welcome. I'm very excited to have you on. Can I just say, right from the get-go, it's really awesome when we can get guests in to talk about paranormal and supernatural that are of the female persuasion, because I feel like a lot of the voices and faces out there are not. So it's exciting.
Yes.
So how long have you both been into the paranormal supernatural world?
Andy, would you like to take this first?
Okay. I guess pretty much my whole life. My childhood home was haunted. And yeah, I guess that kind of sparked my interest. And then my mom is kind of out there and into some strange stuff, like in kind of a subtle suburban way. But yeah, it's just always been around, and I've always been interested. And I just got weirder and more interested as I got older.
You said you had your childhood home was you had experiences there. Like, were they generally like positive, neutral, negative? Like
Neutral to negative.
Okay.
For the most part. It wasn't a lot of fun. The first time I remember, I think I was like 7-ish. And that's when we really started noticing like the door between our kitchen and our garage would like randomly be open, or really you would hear people walking down our hallway a lot. And I remember specifically like our family room was in the basement because we had like a walkout basement, and we were all down there, and my dad was still at work, and we heard him get home and walk down the hallway. And so my mom like went up to greet him, and there's nobody there. She's like, it was the cat.
Because a cat sounds like a full-grown male.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, so you'd hear people walking a lot. It seemed to center around the kind of bedroom that we had in the basement. It was like our playroom when we were kids, and then our guest room, and then I moved my bedroom down there when I was like 14, and it was just really creepy. You'd hear people talking, you would, catch sight of people like out of the corner of your eye, especially coming down the stairs. And then like the closet would randomly smell like mildew or things, but not all the time, just like randomly. And we could never find a source. And then that wall, I put a couple of mirrors on that wall, and they'd get like black streaks through them. It was intense, and it was really creepy. And like I never told my mom because she told me it was the cat. Until I was older, I was like an adult, and it came up, and I started telling her all this stuff, and she's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I was like, "You wouldn't believe me." And she's like, "No, when you were 5, you were down in that room playing with your brother, and you came running up the stairs going, 'Grandpa, Grandpa, Grandpa's here.'" And apparently I, at 5, was seeing like an old man just check in on us and stuff around the house. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, that was interesting too, because it felt like validation. Because I was a teenager, and your imagination kind of can get wild in those days. But yeah.
Is that home still like in your family, or is that long gone?
No, my parents moved probably like 10 years ago.
Has anyone ever reached out about that, or just like...
Not that I know of. it wasn't like a crazy old house. It was probably built in like the 80s maybe. So my mom always theorized that it was maybe like the farmer whose land it was before us. I don't know. It was in Nebraska, so it was all farmers.
That's scary, especially growing up with that because it sounds like you were in that house for over a decade. So
But yeah.
you just kind of maybe think you get used to it and then something new happens like black streaks down the mirror.
Yeah.
That would terrify
Exactly.
me actually. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that's why I cover up all my mirrors.
Yeah, no mirrors in the bedroom. We just don't. That's not necessary.
Right? Very smart.
What about you, Katie?
Well, okay, childhood trauma. And when I say that, what I mean, Andy starts laughing. So I didn't have any experiences as a child, but I sort of got introduced to the world on the back end where everything was bad because I grew up incredibly religious. My father was a pastor. And then my stepmother ended up. Andy, would you say joining a cult, or would you just say that it's
Yes.
cult adjacent?
I'm going to go out on a limb and call it a cult. I think it's culty enough.
Like, it was for sure a cult.
Yeah.
I just don't know how officially she subscribed to all of it, so I'm pretty sure it was joining a cult.
I like the term cult adjacent though. Like I think I'm going to have to start using that.
By all means, because I was like, well, we never like moved to a commune, but we did a lot of the other stuff. So I don't know if either of you have heard of Rebecca Brown by any chance in your like sort of occult, paranormal, actual cult leadership. She is a colossal trip.
I honestly like the name sounds familiar, but I can't place it. I'm like Googling it
Right.
right now. Ask the Google.
Yeah. So she's kind of lesser known, and I'm not sure why, because a lot of what she did is very much in the background now of a lot of satanic panic rhetoric. And she was hardcore satanic panic. She wrote, I think, He Came to Set the Captives Free. And there was another one called Prepare for War, were her two Air Bunnies true story books about being a doctor and rescuing a bride of Christ from the cult of Satan and then getting embroiled in all of this spiritual warfare. Turns out all of that was a lie and a complete hoax, and she was disbarred from being an MD, like she had her license revoked for gross negligence and abuse of patients, so that was super fun. But then she and her husband, Daniel Yoder, moved to Arkansas and opened up a church, in their words. And were preaching to everybody about the end of the world and that Satan was in everything. And here's a list of all of the stuff. And then how churches can get infiltrated by it and become fake churches. That was super fun. As she got into that, she ended up basically saying that I was possessed by the devil.
I mean, naturally, right?
Of course, like, as one does. So I grew up hearing all of this rhetoric around fear of the paranormal. And then when I ran away from home at the age of 18, I was like, well, I'm a very curious person. I want to see for myself what's going on. Like, I know that this isn't real. Like, anointing Disney movies with holy oil and then throwing them in the trash to seal curses from your life. Probably not. And so then I just became really, really fascinated with wanting to find out about all of these other avenues.
It's like a reverse psychology. She's just like made everything so much more appealing because it's like it was so taboo and banned. Like, okay, well, now I have to know what the fuss is about. Like, what is that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And everybody that she had told me to avoid who was outside of the church, they all ended up being the coolest people in the entire world. So I was like, okay, well, now that I don't subscribe to that, what do I subscribe to? What do I actually think? What do I actually believe? And I am also nothing if not petty and spiteful. So anything that I was told was forbidden, I was gonna do.
My girl did it. Checked it off. Tick, tick,
You're,
tick.
you're not supposed to get tattoos? Got 'em. You're not supposed to love Harry Potter? Guess what?
Wingardium Leviosa, take that.
Yeah. That led me to just sort of undo a lot of these internalized systems. And then that fed into looking at like nature worshiping stuff and like, okay, so then where did all of this fear stem from? And researching the Satanic Panic. And then I ended up working at a haunted restaurant, and I don't know, it was just like this series of individual cubes of an ice cube tray. And then the next thing you know, I was fascinated by all of it. And then I met Andy. And she was like, hey, you're a nerd. Do you want to be nerds together? And I went, sure. Why not?
I love it.
Almost word for word.
Almost word for word.
I love that. I looked up this Rebecca Brown and Reverend Daniel Yoder, and they are the Harvest Warriors. If you didn't know,
Yes.
they are reviving the warriors of God, one warrior at a time. So she thought you were, or claimed you were possessed. Did she try to do any kind of exorcism or force any kind of cleansing on you?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Now I can see and recognize the absurdity. At the time, it was incredibly traumatic because I was a young child. I was like 12. But there was all like constantly in our house, there was just this air of we have to anoint the doors with the sign of the cross or demons will get in. And we couldn't watch certain things or listen to certain things because then you'd open a portal in your mind. And, my dad would so he left one church and then he would basically apply for jobs, which when you're a pastor means you go and you're the interim pastor for a while. And then usually if you like it and they like you, then they offer you the position. So my dad would do that. And if every single time when she found something wrong with the church, she would say, well, it's a fake church now. Like someone in there is actually an undercover agent of Satan.
They're everywhere.
And they're everywhere. Then they have since converted other people to covertly operate, and the church has been taken over. So you cannot take this job because you will actually end up being a pastor of a church of Satan. But the mental gymnastics was always that the people who are undercover agents don't know that they're undercover agents because obviously the demons don't want to lose you, so they'll cloud your mind. So I know that you're possessed, but you don't know that you're possessed. So the church doesn't realize that it's been tainted and poisoned. They still think that they're all okay. But she very obviously would be like, well, they're not. So now we have to leave.
So why didn't she just hire him then?
That's a whole other story. He ended up leaving churches entirely because none of them were actually of God.
They were all fake, of course.
They were all fake churches.
This is what we devil people have been saying for a long time now, though, like, to be fair.
I mean, yeah, but we bring up very real issues of like systemic oppression,
Yeah, of course.
and the hiding of sexual trauma and all this other stuff. And I have no contact with them anymore. But the last I heard, they veered even harder towards like how to put this delicately? There is no delicate way. Fascism.
Oh, okay.
And started moving into Satan has taken over our whole nation. And so now we need to cleanse it in order to take it back for the Lord. And a lot more of like, ooh.
Because nothing says faith like genocide. So,
of course.
Yeah.
Like, of course. Why not?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And now I just have a grand old time researching and learning about and participating in and being open to all of the things that she's like, that's bad. I mean, no. So, okay.
Like, no. Yeah. I think that's been our journey too, is just like being just more open about talking about this stuff, because anybody that has experienced the topic of spirituality and supernatural and paranormal and Harry Potter, like back in the day, not too long ago, decades ago, that was super taboo and you just don't do it. And even now, depending where you're at in the country or the world, it's still a no-no. So I have found, and maybe you have gone through this in your own journey, I found through the podcast, like at first I was really hesitant about talking about my own experiences or what I believe or what, stuff like that. Because it's like people are gonna judge me. And finally, I'm like, screw it. I don't care. Like, I just can't care. I've been trained to care, and now I have to undo that training.
Yep, that moment when you said "fuck it" was the best. So, just saying.
And now I'm like, this is who I am, bitches.
I love that. We need more
Yes.
of that.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I think it helps too when you kind of can find your tribe. So, finding my Katie and people like her where like I can say weird shit and they're not going to judge me. They're going to be like, "Ooh, tell me more."
Right?
Mhm.
That used to be the thing. I'm like, let's get a little weird. And now I'm like, well, we're always weird. So I don't even have to say it. That's just where we're at.
Let's get a little weirder.
Right.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
that. Let's get a little
Yeah.
weirder.
Take it up a notch.
I like that a lot. What made you decide to take it from like talking about it with each other to let's put it in a podcast?
That's all Andy. That was all her idea.
It was kind of my brainchild, yes. So we both listen to a lot of podcasts, like probably too much. It's probably a problem. Um, but I feel like, so we both moved here in 2009. So we've been in Colorado for a while now, and it's a really weird state. Like, we have a lot of really weird shit that has gone on. And I felt like we didn't get a fair percentage of the podcast stories that I've heard. Like, you kind of hear the big stories all the time, but there's like so much more that people don't talk about. And so I wanted to learn about it. And then I was like, well, I also love podcasts. So let's share the weirdness that is Colorado with the world. And then I found out Katie was actually starting another podcast. She's got a Doctor Who podcast as well. And so it's like, hey, do you want to do another one? And she was like, yes. So here we are.
And here we are. You got me to say yes after a night of dancing. I
I did.
was high off the groove. I blame that entirely.
So I looked up the your episodes, your content. I tried to listen to some before before coming on, but I was really curious about what is the Hatchet Lady of Red Rocks.
You don't know that story?
I have not heard it, and you've never brought it up, Jonathan.
That's because it was so well known that I figured you knew about it. So,
Obviously, I don't.
obviously.
That was a Katie story. So
So, the Hatchet Lady of Red Rocks is an urban legend that apparently, if you wander off trail at Red Rocks, you will get chased and threatened by a woman. Sometimes she has a head, sometimes she doesn't, holding a hatchet. And she will chase you down until you get away from her or out of her space. And there's various myths and legends about how she got started. Like, the most common one is that she was part of a family of white settlers, and when the land changed hands, she refused to go, so she moved into the caves that are up in that same region, and stayed there until she became an old lady. And now, even in death, she never left. There's also variations on that theme. They all basically focus around she was a reclusive woman who may or may not have lived in a home or a cave. She may or may not have chased the suitors of her daughter away with a hatchet if she deemed them to be not good enough. And apparently she haunts it. And she doesn't show up to everybody, but she mostly shows up if it's assumed that you're up there fucking around.
She's like the scary chaperone. Although, to be fair, I'd probably be that kind of mom too, that like, you fuck with my daughter, I'll chase you with the hatchet.
Right? Yeah. So there was one that she actually did murder a guy
Oh.
and chopped him up, and that's why she has the hatchet. There's others that she was just crotchety and kids would come mess with her, and so then she would chase them away because she didn't want anybody on her property. On the one hand, I'm like, wow, that's a little extreme. And then on the other, I'm like, hey, shitty kids doorbell ditching you. I might act really scary and chase people away too.
I mean, for sure, as long as she's not actually like butchering the children. To me, it sounds more like a fear thing, like just, hey, you kids, get off my property.
Yeah, it was a very extreme get off my lawn.
Right? Yeah. Like growing up, when I was little, my mom and dad would tell me, we going up to Red Rocks, don't climb on the rocks because the hatchet lady, she'll get you. So it was just something to keep us off the rocks and try to not fuck around up there too. So,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
And there's some credit to there was probably a reclusive homesteader who did live in that region until she was elderly. One of the families that has actually owned property in Morrison for a really, really long time, whose name I'm now blanking on. I said it in the podcast and my brain dumped it. They remembered like an old couple living in the area near them, but they're like, I honestly don't know what happened to them. And like, here's their names. And they found a headstone with that person's name in the Morrison Cemetery, which of course is now closed off to the population because teenagers were doing dumb things like defacing gravestones. Since we can't have anything fun, now we can't verify stuff. But even then, it's like, okay, so there was an elderly homesteader. She stayed on the property till she died. Red Rocks itself is very dangerous to climb on because the stones are so loose, which is actually why they said, don't climb on the rocks. And don't wander off because there's a lot of cliffs. Red Rocks is super dark. Can't really see where you're
Rattlesnakes.
going very well. There's rattlesnakes. There's mountain lions from time to time.
Speaking of mountain lions, real quick, my favorite sign up there is if you see a mountain lion, punch it.
What?
Yeah, it literally tells you to punch a mountain lion. I'm like, are you kidding me? No, I'm running like a chicken and I'm going to die.
You don't
so
know.
it's okay.
You don't run from a mountain
You're
lion.
supposed to fight them.
You're supposed to be very loud and be aggressive because if you run, they think you're a cat toy. Like, don't do that.
That's why I said I would die if I ran.
That's actually one of my brother's life goals is to like punch a mountain lion.
In the wild? Because that's super mean to just like go into a zoo and be like, hey, come here.
No. He's like when we're hiking.
He's like, look, if we see a mountain lion, I got this.
I gotta punch it.
I've been prepared my whole life for this moment.
Right?
Life is short. Punch mountain lions in the face.
That needs to be a shirt. Life is short. Punch mountain lions.
It's one now. That's a Colorado exclusive.
PETA's gonna be all over us on that.
Oh, for sure.
Just gonna find it at like the airport stores. Just punch a mountain lion.
Yes.
I went to Colorado and I punched a mountain lion.
I like it. We should do it before it's out there.
Right next to the Blucifer shirts. So yeah.
All hail Blucifer!
Yes.
So Andy, what is the Denver Spider-Man?
Oh, the Denver Spider-Man. So that was one of my stories. It was actually a true crime thing. It was back, when was that? The 1920s, I think? Now I'm blanking. But this man was found murdered in his home, and all of the doors and windows were locked. And, it's way back in the day, so they couldn't figure it out. And so, they searched the house and everything. His wife was in the hospital at the time. And so they could never figure out, how this man was, brutally murdered. And so then the wife got home from the hospital, and she had a nurse move in with her because she was older and she had broken a hip. And she could not keep a nurse because they kept seeing, wraiths is what they referred to it as. There was one line where she claimed to see a wraith on the stairs and it chattered its teeth at her, which is so horrifying. That's still
that's like Hellraiser
so
stuff
much.
there.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like it. I don't want anything to chatter its teeth. I don't care if it's a squirrel. Don't do that. So eventually the police were kind of staking out this house. Like, the woman had moved out and moved in with her son because, like, she couldn't stay there. And the police were kind of staking it out, and they saw, like, a curtain move. And so that was enough probable cause to go to break into this house and see. And they caught this man, and he had been living in their attic for like 9 months. And I think he was 6 foot and like 75 pounds when they caught him. And he had been, the door to this attic was like the size of a cigar box lid. And so when the police had initially searched the house after the murder, they didn't bother looking up there because they didn't think like a human could fit up there. It was really horrifying. It was a guy that they had known. The husband who had been murdered had known him when this man was like 17, and he came back to ask for money, and then they weren't home, and so he's just like, well, maybe I could just stay here because it's better than, sleeping on the streets. And things just kind of spiraled.
He was literally the
But it
Slender
was
Man.
crazy. Yeah, so they one of the police officers was like, a man would have to be a spider to live that way. And so that's how he got his nickname in the newspapers.
So check your attics. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's going to creep me out now. I'm going to be like, I've always thought, no, that's too little. Nothing can fit in there. I'm going to be second guessing that now.
I know, I'm recording in my closet, and even the first time I heard the story, like, as I'm looking up, I see the door into our crawl space. I'm like, Andy, I'm stressed out about everything all the time forever, and now you just gave me another reason to just think the world is a terrible place and nowhere you are is safe. Ever.
Just wait till you hear knocks on it. I'm kidding.
No.
I'm joking. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna nope the fuck out.
Nope. I'm out of here.
Just like burn it all down.
I am gone.
Right.
I will not be the final girl in any horror movie that's like, oh, I wonder what it is. No. Goodbye. I'm taking my keys. I'm leaving.
Yep.
I'll burn the house to the ground. I'll buy a new one. I can buy a new life. I can buy a new life on the internet. That's okay.
That always drives me nuts in horror movies when there's like a noise and the first thing they do is stick their head up. I'm like, you trying to lose a head? Like, what is this?
Right?
I just, whoever thinks I should check that out and then just pops their head up there. No, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched enough horror education. I'm good. Like you said, burn the house down. I'll buy a new house later. How do you find the stories? Because it sounds like you put a lot of research into it. How do you find these stories to research and follow up?
Well, when I was first thinking about doing the podcast, I wanted to make sure that we would have enough content, since I kind of wanted to mostly limit it to Colorado. It's not like a hard and fast rule, but in general, this area is what I was interested in. And so I made a list, and I filled up like 3 pages of like 3 columns of just topics and just kind of general internet searching. And then you start researching a story, and it leads you to like other stories. And like when I did the Snippy, the horse episode, one of the theories so it's about this mutilated horse that they found in the San Luis Valley. So obviously aliens. But one of the theories was radioactive ants. The guy who put forth this theory claimed that, like, oh, everybody knows that the government is doing all sorts of testing and dumping and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, are they, though? And so they weren't really in that area, but they were at, like, Rocky Flats. And so that became a story later. And
the plutonium triggers, right?
Yeah, that was a wild one.
I don't believe in coincidences. I was I was house hunting, and when I was looking in the like Castle Rock, Sedalia area, I was like looking at like on the maps, and this one thing kept popping up because like very Google marked areas, it'll pop up as like a business or whatever. And the same thing kept popping up. And I'm like, what is this? So I zoomed in and it was like Brotherhood of the White Temple. And I'm like, what is that? That sounds like ominous. And when I tried to Google it and like look up their site, they don't have much like information. They keep it very generic and you can't find anybody that's actually like associated with it on their website. Like, the contact us, there's nothing. You can't find any like actual members. And I'm like, is this a shell? Is this like money laundering? Is this like like Illuminati type stuff? Like, what is this? Not that I believe in the Illuminati as people do, but I'm going to walk that back. I'm sure all sorts of groups out there exist, but I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I saw you had an episode on that, and I was like, okay, tell me more. Tell me more.
That one is wild. It was our first cult episode, and it was super fun, and I got sucked down a rabbit hole. So it was started in the 1940s by a guy who eventually changed his name to Maurice Doriel. And like, I don't even know where to start. There were Atlanteans involved and pyramids. There were pocket dimensions. There was like, I don't even know, like how to realign your energies. You can just not die if you like lay in the proper directions for like an hour a day.
Sign me up.
Yeah, it was intense. There are apparently different races of consciousness on different planets. So the goal is to get to the sun, from what I understood. And so there was a race of ascended beings before humanity and before the Atlanteans, because the Atlanteans, I believe, were not human. But they ascended and moved on to Venus. Yeah, that's the right direction. So then the people from Mars moved to Earth, and once they evolve, they get to move up to Venus. It was wild.
So we're just like shifting planets.
Yeah, we're just leapfrogging until we make it to the sun and universal oneness.
I don't even know where to begin with that one.
It was a lot.
What? So like,
but like you said, like you can't really find anyone that's actually directly associated. Like I found a couple of people that like signed up for their newsletters and got like 2 of them, but it's still there. Like it's still in Sedalia.
have you driven out there like to see if it's active?
No, I've seen pictures of it. I found pictures online. We keep saying that we might just have to join it to figure out what it's all about.
If it's a female membership, because it was kind of like hard to tell for me anyways.
I think it is. And it's a correspondence church. So you just send them money and then they send you the course materials until you get like high enough up that you actually get invited in person to go.
I want to go. I want to I do, but I don't, because it's like, am I going to become a sacrifice to the sun? Like, I don't know, but I don't know how I feel.
I mean, I didn't hear any reports of abuse.
But we don't hear anything about it, is the thing. Like, they are so secretive that anything that has come out is inherently biased because it's only their self-reported paraphernalia. And then there's just nothing else.
He wrote a lot of books.
They seem like they really have like a mixture of concepts too, because on like the front page of their website, it's like you have like almost like those pamphlets that you get at your door from like solicitors. You have like the Jesus pamphlets, but then like you also have these emerald tablets that are apparently created by like Thoth, and it's like, but he was an Atlantean priest, not an Egyptian thing. So it's just like, what are you guys doing? What is going on here?
He was taking stuff from all over. He like wrote books about astral projection and the emerald tablets. You can actually find them online. You can read it.
You read it. Did you learn anything? Did you ascend? Like, are you on Venus?
I mean, I am at a higher vibration, I have to say.
I thought so.
Yeah, you can tell. So these emerald tablets, like, before they had to sink Atlantis so that the barbarians couldn't get there or something, they like took them to the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico and put them in like a Mayan temple. And then this guy, Doriel, he like went and collected them, and then he went to like Tibet and whatnot and returned them to the Great Pyramid of Egypt. It was all over the place. And then later they're like, well, you don't have any stamps on your passport. And he's like, it was on the astral field, on the astral plane. Like, okay. So there are different entrances to, what is it? The Halls of Amenti, which is where like you access immortality, and like all of the ascended masters chill there, which is a pocket dimension. And there are like different access points, but one's in like, what was it, Oklahoma?
One was in his hometown in Oklahoma.
I mean, this sounds legit.
Yeah. The other ones are like, yeah, the Great Pyramid and the Taj Mahal or whatever, like, and then Oklahoma.
I mean, it's no contest there. I want to go to Oklahoma. Who wants to go to Egypt?
Right? This is way easier.
Yeah, this is just like, and they use so many different buzzwords. Like you have Church of Neophyte, but then you also have Fellowship
Oh, yeah.
of the Avatar. And it's just like, what is the concept here? Because then you go straight metaphysical on their dear seeker of truth. We're going to have divine illumination and cosmic consciousness. And I'm just like, they're all over the place. I think they really need to adjust their branding a bit because I don't know where they're at. Apparently, they're in Oklahoma.
But there were like 200 people that moved to this compound though in like, I think it was 1954 maybe, and they're still out there. So I don't know, they're doing something.
Yeah, I guess. Like they claim to be metaphysical, but it's like it seems like there's so much more to unwrap there. I mean, they're talking about the Kabbalah. They're talking about like, and maybe you can do all of that. They're doing Akashic record readings, but by making it so inaccessible, like we don't know who runs it, who's a part of it. It's just, I have no idea. No idea what this is. So I'm glad someone researched it. But don't be surprised if I call you when I'm in Colorado and I'm like, we're going on a road trip. We're gonna just go pop by.
Just cruise on,
Just to see.
just visit the town.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, it's in Sedalia, right? So we just drive on by. Hey guys,
Yeah,
how's it
it's not
going?
that far.
I brought you some muffins. Can I look around?
Depends on what kind of muffins, though.
Chocolate. Everybody loves chocolate.
Yeah.
I think. Not everybody. Speaking of places that you don't know what the heck they are, there's this place near me here in the Bay Area, and it caused a really big ordeal when it was being built here. It's a Sufi temple. It's Sufism reoriented. Funny thing is it was funded by the Cheesecake Factory owner.
No.
It was like a $20 million project, and it's a 66,000 square foot structure. Here's where things get a little weird. The way the buildings are shaped, they're circular. They're a bunch of big circles, all connected. I think there might be like a half level, but it's mostly one main level. It goes down. I had been there I used to do like volunteering for like food delivery. So I would pick up food from them and take it to shelters and other places. But I wasn't doing it for them. It was a different group. They just happened to be a donor. So I went, and here's what made me kind of iffy. Most churches don't have cameras outside that you have to be beeped into. And so they're like, park in the back where the delivery trucks go, and there's a side door, and you have to press the call button, and they'll let you in. And I'm like, okay. So I go in, press the button, there's a camera, and I had to say who I was, where I was from. They beat me in. There's immediately an elevator there that goes down. And I'm just like, well, this is different. It opens up to the kitchen, and it's a huge kitchen for being like a religious building. It is huge. Their like kitchen area with their pantry and their storage. But I'm like, cool, maybe this is part of why they built it, like to donate food and all of that stuff. I've been doing it for a little while. They got used to me there. So one of the ladies was like, hey, do you want to see our big sculpture? And I'm just like, yes, I do. Because you're curious. You want to wander around inside, but it's like you really can't. And only when I would go to like put carts back, did I peek other rooms a little bit because the doors are open, and I'm like, wow, this building, like what you think are like going to be sectioned off, it's massive like rooms with big ceilings, and they have like murals on the wall, but there's nothing else in the rooms except one room had clear chairs, so they were transparent. They weren't color, just all set up clear chairs. No podium though, so I don't know where the speaker is. These rooms were mostly just empty, like marble floors with like patterns on them and nothing else. So it's like, huh, okay. And when I tried to research it, couldn't find much about it. Pretty mystical. Like they do talk about the original leader, but that he had branched off and created his own thing. But to be a member doesn't say how. There's not really clear like what that space is being used for. And it's huge, like big circle buildings. And so I go see this sculpture. This thing has to be at least 30 feet. There's like this stairwell that goes around it, and it's huge. And I forget what she called it. It was something like the Enlightenment of Man or something. And it's this beautiful statue of this male figure reaching up, and all around him, there's animals like snakes at his feet, fish at his feet, butterflies on his arm. Just like, it's beautiful. But I'm like, what the hell is this place? Like, that's amazing. Wish I could take a picture, but she was like totally watching me like a hawk. But I'm like, what the hell is this place? Like, what is this? And everybody was super nice. Never saw anybody under like 65 there. But I'm just like, this was a $20 million project. I've never seen anybody here other than like in the kitchen stuff. And you have this really large 30-foot sculpture. The rooms are pretty much empty. Like, what is this? I never understood, but they had someone. I don't know where he sat, but he manned the cameras and let people in and out. So,
Huh.
her face.
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like you were getting pretty close to kind of being recruited. No, I'm just kidding. They showed you the statue and
Keith was joking about that. He's like, they're going to try and bring you in. I'm like, I kind of want them to, so I can just figure out what the hell this place is.
I mean, at this point, yeah.
They'd be like, do you want to be a member? Sure. Can I take a look around?
So here's a question. If you become a member, because this is exactly what I would ask, is one of the perks of membership a discount at the Cheesecake Factory?
Right? That's a fair question.
Eternal salvation, fine. Crossing over into a transcendental, non-corporeal plane. Okay, cool. Yeah. But do I get like 25% off at the Cheesecake Factory? Because if not, I'm sorry. It's just
I'm out.
That's not enough for me. Yeah. I'm done.
I feel like cheesecake is a must.
Yes.
Oh, they probably have the best snacks at their meetings.
Again, wondering, what in the world is this place? Like, a beautiful building, and the name doesn't, like, for me, give it away. Like, Sufism Reoriented. I'm like, I don't know what that is, some company. But when I showed up, the driveway, they have their own private parking lot, but the driveway is all marble.
Wow.
Later, I looked it up. I'm like, oh, it's a religious organization, but wow, they're loaded. They must sell a lot of cheesecake.
You know, it's all that money from if you share an entree, we're going to charge you extra. That's how they built this organization. I'm telling you.
We didn't know that is where that money went to, but now we know. It has been revealed. They're busted.
So how many cults do you think we can join before like they start figuring it out and not letting us in?
They'll never know.
Right.
Do you think they have like a call list?
Y'all are serial occultists?
Oh, you think they share like a list, like a membership list?
Yeah, I'm like, is there like, yeah, you know, like how stories have like just the wall of people who bounce checks or whatever? Like, is there like a cult infiltration list we can get it put on?
It's all really poorly taken photos of us with like our hands up, like, no.
Or like really awkward, like fake mustaches.
Weird old Indiana Jones hats and everything else. Why not?
You have to build it in, so it's like I'm a quadruplet.
Yeah.
That was my
There's
sister.
4 of
Yeah,
us.
There's 4. You only get 1,
Right.
but
I was gonna say, but that only works 4 times, so you're screwed.
you mean that other me? The Brotherhood or the White Temple? Oh no, that's not me. That's
Mm-mm.
my sister.
Mhm.
That
She's
was
insane.
yeah.
Can you believe she's part of that? It's
How could
crazy.
she?
And then they hold up pictures of us like this looks nothing like you. This is a man. I'll be like, we're fraternal quadruplets.
This is a man. Don't be sexist.
Yeah. You don't know how we identify, okay?
Yeah, you don't know
Right.
me.
You don't know me. Do you know how much of a power flex it would be, though, to say that we have been banned from X amount of cults?
We've been banned from all cults.
This is my new life goal. Except, Katie, you've already got one on us, so
That's true. I'm
Right?
already a step ahead. I was banned.
you were possessed and banned.
I did double duty.
You did devil duty, apparently.
I mean, what can I say? I was a petulant and rebellious child who just wanted to read Lord of the Rings and learn Elvish, and
I love you.
not in my house, god damn it.
I know. I've got all the Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter books, and I'm a devil bride, and I'm proud.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I grew up in a household where ghosts were devilish, and if you had a lot of nightmares, you were probably possessed or on your way to possession. And if you try to intervene on an exorcism, you're also possessed. It was like a whole thing.
So you get it. So
get
we know.
My brother had a lot of nightmares. So my grandma called over a prayer circle, which is really just a Spanish exorcism. And they're like holding him down and like doing their praying and crying over him and putting things on him. And he's freaked out, as he should be as a little kid. I hear my brother freaked out. I run in and I'm trying to stop them and I'm yelling at them. And then they're like, the devil's in her too. And I'm like, leave my brother alone. I'm pretty sure I hissed at one of them. Like, she said the devil was in me. She said the devil was in me, and I
Yes,
believe I
solid.
hissed at her because, yeah, I mean, I was an
Because you're
asshole as a
you, and
kid.
why
Yeah,
not?
like I was well on my
No, that's
way.
the proper response. That's the proper response.
My mom
Yes,
had
that's boss
already
moves.
shown me like The Exorcist at that point, so I was fully prepared to embody it. I'm like, she wants to call me the devil, I'll show her the devil.
I'll show you. Watch this.
My grandma was so mad at me.
Too bad you couldn't like contort your arms and your legs and stuff too. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Little-
Start crab walking.
Right?
Yes. Little
Crab
extra
walking
flavor
and
there.
hissing.
If there was a place that you could go that you haven't gone to yet in Colorado to do a story on and to visit, where would you choose?
Oh man, I don't know.
I'm gonna go anywhere old because I guess I do mean to. I said I don't mean to always choose like the weird historical stuff, but I do. It's always an intentional thing. So there's definitely some like ghost towns in the mountains that I've never been to that I really, really want to go and poke around.
Road trip, podcast,
Oh.
crossover road trip.
That will be amazing. Like anytime.
I think I would like to go see the UFO watchtower.
Where the hell is that?
It's down. It's down by the sand dunes. I forget which town. Near. I want to say Alamosa. I don't
Okay.
remember though. Yeah, somewhere down there. This woman built like a UFO watchtower because it's like Dark Sky USA or something. They have like actual laws in place to keep the sky dark. Like you can't have lights after a certain time and blah blah blah. So there's like so many UFO sightings, and so she like built this watchtower. There's like this crazy garden where people will like leave stuff, and they're supposed to be like, I don't even know, vortexes, I think. It's insane. And like I have friends who have stories. It sounds really crazy and intense.
I'm down. Let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah, I just looked it up. I think Alamosa is where it is. Yeah.
I totally just Googled it. It's a campground north of Hooper, Colorado. So we're going to go see some UFOs.
I mean, I've been saying I want to go UFO watching, so.
Oh, I see the things that you're talking about, like the little patches of offerings, I guess.
Yeah, it's like it's like part art installation, part like, yeah, offerings. I've heard some really weird stories about it. It just seems wild and interesting.
Says there's a sign that says there are 2 large vortexes located on the east side of the tower and 2 beings guard it. One of the vortexes spins clockwise and the other spins counterclockwise. Ooh, we should take a
down for more
magnet
vortex
to see if it does anything.
Oh yeah,
That'd
like
be
a
super
compass.
cool.
Yeah, see
Yes.
like if there's any kind of reactivity, especially if they're saying one has different directions.
Yeah.
How cool. Look, I'm learning all these places from you. I'm just like adding this. I really, really, really want to go to the Black Monarch Hotel in Victor, Colorado.
I've been there. I've been there a few times.
Is it spooky?
It is. It's so cool. Like it's really cool. We're gonna have to. So I actually went. When was this? It was a couple of months ago. One of my friends is their publicist, essentially, and so we've gone like a few times, and it was just really fun. Like the owners are so cool, and they were just sitting there and like telling me all these ghost stories. It's like kind of, I don't know how to explain this. It's in like this old historic building, and on the bottom level there's like this gift shop and a coffee shop. And so I had parked right in front of the coffee shop, and I saw like a man standing in there, but I'm like, I thought all the employees were women. And I look, and it's closed, and he's just kind of standing there. I'm like, this is really weird. And then like I look back, and there's nobody there, and it's closed. And I'm like, and then later she's like telling me this story about how there's like a psychic had passed through and was like, hey, did you know there's like a ghost here? There's like this man in a suit. And I'm like, oh my God.
You weren't even inside and you already had activity. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it's like, it's super themed. And like, we had like a mommy kids trip up there. So it was like, it was me and my friend and like our kids.
You took your kids to a haunted hotel.
I did.
That's awesome. My kids would never go with me, by the way.
They loved it. They were like begging to go back. They have this like forest witch themed room. So like all of the rooms are themed different like horror things.
I want to stay in the Bela Lugosi room.
Yes, that one's very cool. But there's a forest witch one where the bed is a swing, like it's hanging from ropes from the ceiling. And so that's the room we were staying in. And like middle of the night, we're all asleep. And it felt like somebody bumped into the bed. Like it like shook the bed. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
It sounds like Ashley's reactions. Just
it sounds like Katie's reaction is like, that's my room. We're all going. Katie's staying in the swing room.
I know. I saw that. I was like, damn, I wanted that room. I'm just joking.
I'll bring my sage and I'll make a deal with whoever is also in there. And I'll be like, look, like we can chat, you know, we can vibe. Not while I'm sleeping.
We can vibe.
Not while I'm in the shower.
Yep.
Not like looking at me in the mirror. You know, those are my rules. Like announce to yourself before you come in because I'm vulnerable. And we'll be fine. And then everything will be okay.
Yep,
I don't know if I want them to announce themselves. Like, I think I'm just good to like, hey, you know what? There's a really cool room down the hall. I think you should haunt that tonight. Like, John would love for you to stay in there.
I love how I get that. It's like, oh yeah, go to John. Yeah, we all know how I chickened out at the other place. Let's not go there. Oh, jeez.
You didn't chicken out. You stayed to protect us.
Sure. That's what it was. As I slept through your experience.
Oh my God, that was awful. Why me?
I have to hear more.
I went to visit her in California, and there's this haunted Airbnb. We had the owner on the podcast earlier this year, and she invited us to go. and stay. And Ashley had visited it. Ashley, you visited it for why, and how did you end up with her? I forgot.
So we were going to do a podcast with her because she had reached out to me and said she had a haunted Airbnb. And I was like, sure, why not? That sounds cool. We'd love to talk to you. But then I found out she was only like 2 hours north of me, and she'd invited me to come see it and take pictures of it before we recorded with her. And I was like, great. I didn't plan to stay there. Nope, I was good. She said there were a few people that were going to be doing like a low key investigation, not something major, and that I could go poke around. Sure, why not? So I went up. My plan was just to take some pictures and like poke around for a minute, but I ended up staying for a few hours. I was still not planning to stay the night. She offered, you could stay the night. Nope, good. I'm solid. One, because there was going to be a whole group of them there, and I don't know these people. So I think I was more concerned about stranger danger than ghosts. But I was still a little nervous about the ghosts. There was some stuff that was iffy, but nothing like super conclusive that night where I'd be like, yep, for sure haunted. There was definitely some weird though. But then she invited us to stay the night when John visited.
Yes. And boy, howdy.
So, like most of the night, we invited her to stay there with us too. There's so many rooms, and it was like, you can
Like
stay too.
8 rooms, something like that, right? There's a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot. And so we're like, you can stay. So she did. And it was cool because she's telling us history and all that stuff because she researched the house quite a bit. And, um, we got stuff, but I think she found more stuff after the fact because we live streamed from there. She rewatched all of the content, which I had no intention of doing.
3
And she
hours
did.
worth. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ashley lived on Facebook. I did Instagram, and we were both live for 3 hours plus. So yeah,
We actually got more stuff from people watching than like experiencing ourselves. Like people that didn't know each other were claiming to see the same thing
Oh, wow.
in the
which is
in the
really
space
cool.
with us. Yeah, that was really neat. And that was a little alarming though. You kind of like, oh, I see that sitting right there, and it's like
There's nothing there. What?
right here.
There?
I'm just
Nah.
gonna scoot over.
Go back in this room.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk away. We did have some things like the little cat ball lights. There was a moment where they were going off a lot, and
Yeah.
we had tested them, like trying to kind of stomp around them to see how close you have to get to set them off. And there was a moment where I remember I was sitting on the floor towards the end of the night, and the Airbnb owner had fallen asleep on the couch, and I was set up my computer because some of the messages stopped going through, like comments
Yeah, you
from
weren't getting
people.
them, and I was getting them, which was weird.
Yeah, they weren't coming through to me, so I tried to jump on my computer. So it's facing the long way into the dark, and all the lights had kind of gone off in the hallway and in the further end of the living room. So it's kind of dark. And my eyes peripherally caught something flashing up in the corner, and I looked up, and I could see on the border of like the entrance into the living room that there was flashing going on in the hallway. And I'm like, John, the cat balls are going off. I'm like, go before we miss it. And he because he had been sitting behind me on the couch and I was on the floor, he runs over, and I'm thinking by the time I get over there with my camera and my phone, it's gonna be off.
They automatically they shut off when I got there. I was recording,
And then
and
they
they
turned
shut off
right
right
back
away.
on.
And as soon as Ashley got over there, they came right back on and started flashing and stuff, and it was really trippy.
And then they just kept flashing for like at least 20, 30 seconds,
Yeah,
which
at
they don't
least.
flash that long. So, but yeah, it was just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss it. But they kept going off, and I'm like, okay, we're about to go to
Yeah.
bed. And this is when activity starts to pop off. Everybody went to bed. John decided not to sleep in this isolated bedroom that the Airbnb owner.
It was hella far away.
She tried to make him sleep in like a super isolated room, like down the hall, around the corner, on the back end of the house. I'm like, that's so mean.
Only good thing about that was the bathroom was right there. So I was closer to the bathroom, but I wasn't going to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
No, hell no.
I'm good.
I wasn't going to go in
I'll
there.
just, no.
I'll hold it. But but then he so he slept in the living room, and we were at the room
You
closest
literally
to
a
the
hall
front door.
across.
Yeah, across the hall. They both went to sleep, and I was laid there for a while because it's just no.
I know you had sent me a text. Are you awake? And I'm like, my phone was in the other room
He was
charging.
already
I was like,
out.
I passed out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought like, okay, I'm right next to the window. The porch is on the other side. I can hear the cars driving by. I feel safe.
Till 3:00 in the morning.
I finally fall asleep. And like I want to say like 2:48, something just jolted me awake. Like I don't know what it was, but my eyes just like I bolted like just okay, something got my attention. What was it? And I don't hear anything and I'm like, okay, well my heart's racing. And you know when you wake up like that, it takes you a little while to fall back asleep. So I'm laying there and I'm just like, all right, well, I'll eventually fall back asleep. And I remember starting to get sleepy again towards like 3:00. So it was like 15 or 12 minutes later. And then I heard something pop really loud in the front yard. But it would have been inside the gate because she has the whole thing gated off. And I'm just like, that was weird. What was that? And I'm thinking, well, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's something. It's a loud pop. I don't know. But then shit popped off, literally. I started hearing walking on the porch. And this is like a wraparound porch. Yep. And I'm right by the window. And I hear walking from the far end, coming right by the window. Don't see a shadow, by the way, right by the window and behind. Because I can, the way the room was, you would catch the front and then the side porch. I could hear it just like someone walked from one end all the way around. And I'm just like, oh no. I'm thinking it's a real person. And then I hear it go back around. And so I throw my contacts on because I didn't have my contacts on, but I'm like, there's a person out there. So I'm like putting my contacts on really fast. And I sit up and I like peek out the blinds because it's right there. I'm like, I'm going to see somebody. Nobody's there. And I'm like, okay. So lay back down and I start to hear more and more walking back and forth. But now it's not just one set of feet walking. It sounds like this porch is popping. There's just people walking back and forth and nobody there. And I'm just like, I thought I was so safe next to this window. And here we are. And then I hear right underneath me, because you know how when something heavy sounds, you can feel it vibrate kind of on the floor or on like up through your bed. So I hear and feel a basement door slam. And I'm just like, motherfuck.
And these doors are like heavy, and you'd have to like literally like
It's
throw
a
them
slam.
hard to slam them. Yeah.
And I'm like, are you serious? And I heard it a few times, different places, but the one under me was, or the one I thought was under me, went a few times. And then I could hear it kind of echo off. And I'm like, I'm like, if I hear something come up the steps, I'm waking her ass up. Like, I am not going to be alone in this ghost party. Like, because that's what it felt like. There's a ghost party happening. About like 3:40, so that's 40 minutes. It all just chilled out. It got quiet. And I at some point I fell right back. I fell asleep. I don't know how. But after that, I fell asleep till like 6 a.m. But that freaked me out. So when I talked to her about it the next day, she's like, the door right under you? I'm like, no, like literally it felt like the bed. Like it felt like it would be a door right underneath us. And she's like, that's weird. Come with me. So we go to the basement into the section that's not finished. And she's like, so where you're talking would be right there in that corner. There's no door there. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe I misheard things. She's like, but that was where the door would have been back in the mining days into the speakeasy. That would have been. And I'm like, so there's literally a ghost party going on. Like they're coming in the speakeasy door. I'm like, did we go back in time? Was I like in a moment in time? I don't know. I'm like, maybe I should have gone to the basement. I would not have, by the way. But
No.
that's not my style. Remember, I don't poke my head through ceilings. I don't go where the noise is. But I was half tempted to leave the house. So
And
yeah.
I slept through the whole thing. Didn't hear a thing.
And I would have been nervous about intruders if, one, I didn't look at the porch and there was clearly nobody there when there were footsteps. But also, we had actually checked every single door downstairs to make sure it was locked and
Yeah.
sealed before
And
we went
shut,
up for
yeah.
the night. So it was like, okay, these doors are going off. She actually checked, by the way, John, she actually checked her cameras because her camera
Uh-huh.
picks up sound in that basement. She checked it. And at some point around when I had woken up, she could hear steps echoing in the camera.
That's crazy. Because I know she played the popping noises from outside. I could hear that. She played that while I was there. But yeah, so that was, and it was literally popping noises. It was just the weirdest thing. Yeah.
So no idea what it was, but I'm like, they're popping bottles. It was a ghost party.
I mean, that's almost reassuring, like information you would want to know ahead of time. Like,
Right.
okay, there's a party. It's just like an echo of this speakeasy. Like, okay, cool. I can handle that. When it's just like mystery doors, that's
Right.
I hate that. I hate
Yeah.
it.
And I feel like, and I guess maybe that's one of those things you don't think to tell people, like, there would have been a door here. But like, for me, it's just like, well, now I don't know. Now I think I'm crazy. And she's like, actually, there was a door there back in the day that goes into the speakeasy. There would have been an entrance here and here. And it's like, oh, so I heard a ghost door.
At least you didn't hear ghost sex.
I would have not minded that either, but I would have laughed at that. Would have been comedic relief.
Actually, yeah.
Break the tension.
He says ghost sex because that used to be a brothel. So
Yes. Yes.
So does she advertise that it's haunted, or are people just like, here's a lovely Airbnb, it's gonna be so relaxing?
she
No,
advertises,
she
it.
advertises. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's got her page, like her Airbnb page mentions it because she's required to. But she also has like a whole website about it,
Yeah.
like her research that she's done. Like she is very clear that this place is haunted, and when people book it, she
Yeah.
tries to like let them know, this is haunted, right? Like you're coming for that experience, correct?
Like
So
you may experience some weird shit. Like
you
just
may,
saying.
you may not, but I didn't expect a ghost party. She said that was the
No.
first time anyone's ever talked about that, though. And I'm like, well, maybe I'm the only person to wake up at 3 a.m. I don't know.
Probably. That could
You
be.
made them feel very comfortable.
Yeah, they're like, she's gonna get this vibe.
Right? I mean, we were very nice.
Yeah, they were just like, you know what? Those are good people. This guy's out, so we can
Right.
sneak in and out. It's not a big deal. John, I would definitely be in your I'm gonna sleep through everything camp though.
Yeah.
I can sleep through anything.
Oh yeah, a tornado can go by. Yep.
They're probably like, she's one of the brothel workers. Like, what?
Excuse me.
Excuse?
How rude.
Rude. Also, thank you.
I know, right?
Right.
Like, I'm flattered,
Ashley,
but what?
don't play that. Yeah. Ashley, don't play that. Sorry.
Although the idea of a sex demon ghost there was kind of cool. That was the one thing.
That was in my room. Just saying. That's the room that I was supposed to stay in.
She kept calling it a sex demon. And she said that someone had, one of her residents, because part of it is like an apartment she is sectioned off
Trying to
and
rent out,
actually
yeah.
rents out. And she said a few of her tenants had talked about, or one of her tenants had talked about being accosted in the middle of the night by something. And the girlfriend woke up and saw it. It was like, what the heck is happening here? And then like other people that have investigated it felt like they were taken over by something and they had this urge to like get busy in a very like aggressive manner. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
hey, I could be down with that kind of ghost. But just kidding.
Yes, but
just
we
kidding.
weren't calling it a ghost at that time.
Yeah, she was calling it a sex demon. And so when I
Yeah.
started talking about it,
I was like, no, we're cutting the demon part off. Like,
yeah, like our what is that machine again? I always call it the wrong thing. It's not an EKG,
Which-
EVP, EK.
EMF?
EMF.
Yeah.
Yes.
K2. Yeah.
I was calling it the wrong thing. The K2.
All the letters.
You know I'm down with OPP. But yeah, that thing, it kept going off. And so I just was joking and I'm like, okay, you're not a sex demon. Can we call you a sex ghost? And it would just go off. And anytime we
yeah.
referenced the sex ghost, it would just go nuts.
Green to red. It was crazy.
I was like, so the sex ghost and I, we connect. We're there.
Yeah.
It's like she's down to party.
Right?
Yeah. through the what was it? The spirit box that she had. We had our names called through the spirit box too. Ashley's first, then
Oh.
the owners, and then mine. I heard Ashley's and the owners, and that was in the sex ghost room. So yeah,
The
and
live
then I
stream
didn't hear
people heard
mine.
it too. Like that's what
Yeah,
freaked
Oh.
me out. Like she had turned it on and it was like Ashley. And I looked over and I'm like, did that just and one of the people commented, that just said Ashley. And I'm like, oh
yep,
hell no. Turn it off. Nope.
I don't want to play this game.
right.
Ugh.
You don't have permission to use my name. I don't like John's the paranormal investigator, one of us. Like I've had like I grew up with paranormal experiences in my
Yeah.
real life, like not hunting at life. And so for me, I don't go chase it. Like, we don't go chasing waterfalls, but
I was just gonna
like
do that. Thank you.
but he does. And so doing this was a big step for me to be willing to like
It was.
knowingly stay in a home that is claimed to be haunted. So yeah, for me
And
to hear
she's
the
the one with
ghost
the
party,
experience.
I'm like, go figure. But sex ghost made it, okay, I guess.
Okay, I guess. Sex Ghost didn't make an appearance, so that's all right.
That you know of. You sleep
True.
through anything.
Oh Lord. Oh no.
We didn't put the
Oh,
camera
no.
on you. We don't know.
I did have weird dreams. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, you're not. So yeah, so I think we should do the Black Monarch. And
Yes.
John, you can stay in the Lizzie boarding room.
That's fine. There's another one I want to do called the Hand Hotel. That's in South Park. It's literally their last name was Hand, but it's an 8-room hotel, and they rent out the rooms hella cheap, and every room's got some kind of activity in it.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
The Victor Hotel in the same town as the Black
Yeah.
Monarch is also super haunted.
Yes. Yes.
We did talk about going somewhere that has like 2 haunted locations and setting up in both
Oh,
to see
yeah.
if like we can connect the two somehow. But
Yeah.
That'd be neat.
yeah.
And we would need more than, us.
It's like when you go to those science museums and they have the concave
Yes.
Yes.
on one side and then the other, and you can whisper things like, hey,
Yep.
poopy fart.
Exactly. We'll see if we can poopy fart the hotels. I feel like that would be funny to see if they like actually start talking to each other. So
That would be so cool.
That would be so
We actually had an EMF the last time I was at the Black Monarch. And I kept getting all excited because it'd go off, and then I'm like, oh no, it's next to my cell phone. Damn it.
Yeah, we had that problem. Mine too. My phone kept doing it.
that's what I would test too. Like we realized his phone was too strong, so we kept him away from it. Mine, as long as I was at a certain distance, was fine. Because I'm super skeptical about those things. Like when her device said my name, part of me was like, did she pre-plug my name in there? Like because it's on her phone, right? It's not like an old school radio box. It's on.
Okay.
It's
Was
a
it her phone? I
app.
thought it was the.
No, it's the Necro app or whatever.
That was the loud ass.
It
Damn,
was
okay.
it was a loud, yeah, like a loud app. But for me, I'm just like, okay, it's in, not that I'm saying anything badly about her. I think she's very nice, but like it's in her best
You're
interest
just
to
skeptic.
say this
Yeah.
place is haunted because that's the business, right? And so for me, I'm
Right.
just like, did you plug my name into your app? But maybe not. But we used our own equipment when it came to like the K2 and the stuff caught on
Whatever else,
videos.
yeah.
Yeah, because she had sent us, I caught this on the audio. And again, I'm a dick. I'm an asshole. I'm just like, did she plant that in the video? Because, I don't want to believe in ghosts right away. And so I actually went back to our live streams and to see if I
Double
picked it
checked,
up
yeah.
myself. Yeah. And they were there. It was there. And it's just like, oh, okay. Well, creepy. But,
Creepy.
like I need more proof than a ghost party. But, in my head, I'm like, I was sleepy. It was all in my head.
It's so easy to do that.
But when it's stuff like you catch on video, she had a creepy teddy bear.
What's it
that
called?
asks
I've heard
The
about
Boo Buddy.
those.
questions. Yeah.
That
The Boo
seems
Buddy.
like
I hate that thing.
They're cool, but it was really annoying. It like wouldn't shut up.
No, it's
It really
creepy.
wouldn't.
It just like randomly asks questions and it's creepy. And you almost get used to the questions until it says something new. Like, it's getting hot in here. And it's like,
Yeah.
now take off all your clothes. But for
Right.
real, like
I mean, that's exactly what we were doing too. So.
But I'm like, why is the bear getting hot? And heat rises. So I'm like, maybe the room is just heating up as
Yeah,
the
but he was on the
evening
floor.
goes. But we're up above a basement.
True.
So,
But I mean, we did get an EVP where it had asked what's 2 + 2 or whatever, and something said 4.
it was
while
a
we were
very
joking
quick
around.
male voice
Yeah.
that said 4. And for me, because we had 2 different camera angles, mine and then his in the corner, John's, I was like, let me check
was
both
closer to
videos.
it.
Maybe it came
Yeah.
from John, right? Because it was a male
Yeah.
voice. But on mine, you can hear Elsie, the owner, and I talking. And you hear the 4. But on John's, you also hear the 4, and it's away from his phone. So I'm like, oh, so none of us said 4. Okay, cool. Well, the ghost knows how to math. Yay, smart ghosts.
It was probably the bartender ghost.
Right?
He's like, yeah, of course I fucking know 2 + 2 is 4.
Right.
Now pay me,
Gotta make
bitches.
this money.
And we were
Yeah.
drinking wine at the time. So,
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
yeah, it was, because there were 3 of us in there. He's like, there's 4 of us. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, 4.
Just wanted to be
4.
part of the group.
I mean, I was fine with that. Ish. Except you're like Katie. Don't join me in bed. Don't join me in
Yep.
the shower. And don't
Exactly.
touch me. Oh my gosh.
Don't touch me.
Boundaries. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will sage you so fast.
What did I
Do
say,
not touch
Ashley?
me.
Punch a ghost?
Punch a ghost day.
Yeah,
I will
punch
punch
a
a
ghost.
ghost.
Our friend is like, I'm totally fine if they tug my hair, they pull my shirt, they touch me. And I'm like,
She
nope.
likes it.
I'm like, you are not allowed to pull my hair or tug my shirt or touch me. Nope. Boundaries. Nope, nope, nope.
Yeah.
You can move that thing over there.
Exactly. I don't like when physical people do it. I don't want a ghost to do it. Like you said, move that over there. Touch the
Right.
teddy bear.
Knock on a wall.
Yeah.
Do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like those little cat balls, perfect for you. Do not
Yep.
pull my hair. So that's dope. That'll set me off.
Yep.
And like Katie said, Sage, I'd probably just get my keys and leave. I'm out of here. I'm going to
Yeah.
the bar up the street. I can't do this.
Yeah, but wasn't that haunted too? I'm just
That whole town's haunted.
pretty much. I mean, the cemetery was down the road too, so
Yeah, because she said when the storms happened, bodies got washed down the creek at some
Yeah.
point.
and there's a creek literally right behind the house. So yeah.
Don't you just hate it when that happens? Get the shovel, the body's washed out again.
Gotta
Like,
go bury him
God
again.
damn it.
We got to bury him deeper next time.
Right.
We're talking about our dead bodies, right? Not the cemeteries. Oh, whatever.
All of them. Bury them all.
I had so much fun with you both tonight. This was really fun. The time went by very fast. Also, would just love some adventures once I'm there. Like, it sounds like we could have a lot of fun finding all the things, going on a road trip to the Brotherhood.
Yes.
Don't be surprised, though. I'm just saying, do not be surprised when I'm like, it's cult joining time.
Let's turn a cult.
Put your cult hat on. I don't know what
Put
it
your
looks
cult hat
like.
Now I'm just picturing the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme.
I love
But
it.
instead, it's cult time.
It's
Yes.
cult time.
We fuse the belts together, and then we all end up dressing in the
Yes.
uniform/robes of various cults.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm there. I'd do it. Except I'm not really good at authority. I gotta get past
No.
that.
Yes.
See, the trick
Oh,
is
dear.
you join the cult, you usurp the leader,
Yes.
you lead the cult.
I like the way you
Exactly.
think. I like it.
That's the end game.
I just gotta play long game here. Okay. I could do that.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whisper
I'm-
campaign. Next thing you know, you have a 30-foot statue.
Yes.
Yeah.
With discounts to the Cheesecake Factory. Oh,
Discounts.
I am in. Oh man. Well, I really appreciate you both joining us today. I have had way too much fun. Sorry, my brain just trailed. What are words? I don't know. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So, really though, I had such a good time with you, Andy and Katie, and thank you for coming on. I had so much fun.
Yeah, thank you for having us. This was super exciting.
I knew that when I listened to their first episode that they were just like us, and I was like, I have to get these two on our podcast eventually.
So glad you did. And just so you know, he is a very introverted, and he's
I
not
am.
usually a like person that reaches out. So he really like vibed
Unless
with
I
your
know people,
content.
yeah.
Yeah, like that is not his
Yeah.
thing. So he really liked your
Aw.
content.
Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Yes.
We really
Y'all just
like
made me
y'all.
laugh,
Yeah.
especially with Snippy the horse and the whole Lucifer cult, and loved it. I said hi to Lucifer as I flew back in the other week. So
I do every time. Every time I see
yep,
him.
you
All
have to.
hail
I feel like you
Lucifer.
have to. Yes, you have to.
What did I forget to ask?
Where people may find their
Oh my
content.
god, yeah. Where can people find you? I'm so sorry. Let's back it up. So, Andy, Katie, because you're so amazing, where can people tune into your amazing podcast?
We are on all of the major platforms: Spotify, Apple, what have you. We are Two Girls Who Scare Easily with the number 2. We're also on Instagram, same tag, Two Girls Who Scare Easily. Or you can email us directly at twogirlswhoscareeasily@gmail.com, also with the number 2.
Thank you. Yes. Go subscribe to their content. Their episodes are amazing. They do a lot of research on what they talk about, and they're just really cool. If you couldn't tell
Yes.
by now, then yeah, you weren't paying attention. Go give them a
Yeah.
follow and a like and listen, listen, listen.
Yes, especially if you're interested about stuff, in Colorado. There's stuff that I didn't even know, like Ashley said earlier, stuff she didn't even know, like the Hatchet Lady and all that fun stuff. So check them out.
Yes.
And now I'll bring us home.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So how do I do it? Oh yeah, just kidding. I forgot for a second. Sorry, brain fart. Thank you again for coming on. This has been an absolute blast. And thank you to all of our listeners for listening to this episode of 300 Podcast with your host. I'm John Thomas.
I am Ashley Lunar Goddess.
And if you have any questions, comments, episode suggestions, or like sometimes I throw in concerns, feel free to email us at 300podcast@gmail.com. And if you haven't done so already, you better like, follow, and subscribe to ours and the Two Girls Who Scare Easily podcast, because you don't want to miss one amazing moment.
Until next time.